So market size is the size that you are targeting at. You had a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, I always ask this question, it's a really tough one. When getting market research, data or information, what would you say are the specific methodologies that you would use in general?
Yeah.
And you can stick to just the United States.
Sure. How to size the market, right?
What methodologies
Yep.
going about obtaining? So if you were hiring a consulting firm to get market research information from you, what are you specifically want them to do for you?
What's the question you're trying to answer?
The methodology of obtaining market research.
No. Forget about the methodology. What is the key question you want to answer from this exercise?
Well, because you mentioned market research, and so I wanted to just specifically go like, what are you looking for?
I understand. What is the question that you want to ask?
On the telephone? Do you send them mailings? Do you? It's a very that you're actually.
Okay. So you can reach out to like people, friends, consultants, whatever, by any means you want. But the key question you want to ask them is, I want to know, I'm working on this product or this technology, and what I want to know is how many people, if you are selling to consumers, or how many organizations or companies, if you are selling to businesses, will be interested to buy this product or service from me.
Right. The reason I'm asking the question is because I know, because I work for these types of firms and experts, most market research is geared towards obtaining what's it called, legal information, as opposed to projecting market, what we think of as market research. So
okay.
I'm wondering what type of methodology you look for when you go to hire a consultant, or you do it yourself. I don't know, did I get it?
First, it will depend on how much money do you have.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't have much money, you have to do it yourself, and you need to learn it on your own. Either you take a course, or you go to the internet, search on market sizing techniques, market sizing approaches, and you find how they do that. But basically, you are trying to collect data that will tell you how many customers out there might be interested in what you are doing. So in order to do that, you want to define who are your customers. And this is another challenge that you need to think together with your team. Who are our customers? What's the persona? What's the description of them? Right?
Right. I mean, by the way, I just want to say, like, if you go out and you hire like a big international communications company, you might get a lot less than if you just do it yourself.
Yeah. So market sizing. The financial market, this has to do with availability of venture capital. How is the venture capital market is structured? Is it easy to get investment money? And believe it or not, in other countries, you cannot get venture money. You need to get loans. The concept is not there in some countries, right? Yes?
I was struck when I went to Silicon Valley in San Francisco, and how it's structured with the universities, how it's structured with San Francisco, the weather. All these factors play into how successful that environment is, the community, whether it's progressive, willing to accept new things, and if you're in a technology, do you go to Silicon Valley with it to start up? Do you start up here in Boston? Do you go to New York City and Silicon Alley? Or do you go to Austin, Texas? Or do you go international?
Yeah.
Which one would be the best fit?
There is no single answer, right? I cannot answer this question, and that's why you need to look at these kind of things and you judge for yourself what would be the best environment for me. You obviously want to be close to your market. What if your market is not in Silicon Valley? What if your market is in Asia?
Then you need logistics to support it.
Maybe, or maybe you should move there. So we cannot speak in like you can do everything, you can like move wherever you want. There's of course like practical limitations, but the reason I'm giving you this because these are the guidelines. These are the kind of things you need to think about when you are trying to answer this very question. Where should I have my company? Where should I start? So the answer to these kind of things will help you to a great extent to answer this question. You wanted to respond?
Yeah, part also depends on what you're going to build. Where does the geographic location that you're considering have the core competency of people to do that, the talent? You know, I mean, it's pretty clear that the idea, expertise is going to be here. It's not going to make itself out. Because bulk is further all the people have. It depends what you're going to do.
Yeah. Macroeconomic, this has to do with like inflation rates, interest rates. These are like things related to the financial system in the country and how the country is performing. Labor market efficiency, this will impact what?
The teams.
Yeah, salaries, team, how easy is it to get the right people, right? And not only get the right people, are there enough laws and regulation that govern the relationship between employees and companies? Because believe it or not, in certain countries, it's a mess, right? You could get people and they can like steal your idea and they go and start their own company, right? So these kind of things are very important to consider. Okay, so this whole system, do you think starts from where? Where is the starting point? If you can read anything.
Cash. Core team.
Huh?
Core team strength.
Core team. Right? This is the co-founders. So the core team come together and actually the variable is called core team strength. So the strengths of the team, because group of people could come together but they wouldn't start a company. Right? They would just speak, they would just brainstorm, but they will never start anything. Right? And the theory is if you have enough of these variables that you reach a certain threshold, probably they will start the company. Right? And then this core team strengths, they create what's called a firm attractiveness or a job attractiveness. They start creating this kind of attraction about the company. This will attract whom? From the stakeholders. Might attract investors just on the team and the idea. Mentors to agree on like advising you because they don't want to waste their time, right? So if the team is attractive, you will get mentors and advisors. This will attract what else? Other team members, right? Could attract service providers to give you services in exchange of equity or in deferred payment. These are possible things. Like you will be surprised that many lawyers will agree to give you legal advice without charging you money, or they will defer payment or whatever. So there is some sort of flexible arrangements. And basically, if this works properly, you will start have productivity. You will have something going on the assumption that you have people, right? People working, right? And the people in this place probably will be the co-founders or the team itself. And then they had a nice stick here. Yes, very nice. This looks like the weather stuff, right? So yeah, so productivity, and your productivity is mainly split into engineering effort and sales effort, right? And the effort here is defined by time, the time you spend, right? So it's not people, it's the time you spend. So those group of people, at the end of the day, they are giving you productive time. And this productive time is split into sales and engineering. Engineering help you in the product development, so you have more useful features in your product. And sales help you sell more. Sales effort help you to sell more, right? Are you following? Okay. And then the product features, it adds to the value proposition of your product. And the way value proposition is defined is the comparison between competitor value proposition and the pricing you charge. Because people will compare whatever you have to other products or other alternatives in the market, right? So what's the value proposition? What's different about what you have? What's unique about what you have, right? And the value proposition, if it's high enough, it will make your product attractive. Not only the value proposition will make your product attractive, but the service quality that you provide will make your product attractive. And not only the service quality and the value proposition, but if you have sold it before, what people are saying about it, the word of mouth. That's why it's very important to keep your customers happy, because they will go and speak to other people about it. And all of that contribute to how attractive your product. The product attractiveness helps your sales effort, right? It helps you in selling more. And if you are selling more, you are getting customers. By the way, these blue boxes are accumulation of things, right? These are not only variables. These are things that accumulate over time. They can increase and they can decrease, right? Think about it as a water tank. If there is inflow here, it will increase. If there is lots of outflow, it will decrease, right? So an example, if you have lots of sales, customers will increase. If those customers are not satisfied, they are dissatisfied, so number of customers will decrease, right? So it's a level, right? Okay, so if you are selling to more customers, you will have more of word of mouth, more product attractive, and this is like, it's called the reinforcing loop, one of the very powerful loops. That's why product attractiveness is one of the critical variables that we discussed yesterday, right? We said it's one of those critical things, right? And what happens if you have more customers? The unit cost will drop. Why the unit cost will drop?
Economies of scale.
What's the economies of scale?
As you have more customers, you're able to increase production, and the more you make, the cheaper the cost per unit.
Why the unit will get cheaper?
Your fixed cost per unit go down.
Exactly. You have anything, any product you sell, you have two types of costs, fixed and variable, right? The variable change relative to the number of units you are producing. So if you're selling more units, the variable will increase. If you are selling less units, the variable will go down. So it's tied to the number of units you're selling. But the fixed costs, these are costs that you are paying regardless you sell more or less. These are costs that all the time you are paying these. Example for these costs? Real estate, rent.
Administrative costs, office help, equipment.
Salaries, right? All these kind of things, electricity, internet, whatever. These are fixed costs. So if you are selling more, this fixed cost will be distributed over more units. And this is what's meant by economies of scale. So the scale increase, so the economies get distributed much more better, right? So more customers means less unit cost. And if the unit cost drops, you can control the pricing, right? Now you can drop the price. And now you can become more competitive. And if the price drops, it will impact what? The value proposition, make your product attractiveness. And again, reinforcing loop, right? Let's continue. If you get more customers, if you make more sales, you have sales revenues. And if you have more customers, you can later on sell to them services, right? Can you give me an example of that?
Automobile rate maintenance.
Exactly. What automobile companies do? They sell you the car, and then they sell you the services, the maintenance for the car. And they actually make much more money from the services than the original car. They
wouldn't cover the real estate, a lot of them, with just the sale of the car.
Yeah, yeah. See? So more customers is actually very important, not only in giving you the sales, but having a customer base that you can, they call it upsell, that you can sell more from this customer base. You can push to them any kind of services you want. Those combined revenues, they give you the total revenue, right? And then you have total costs. Total costs are coming from where? Cost of what? From the units that you are selling. And costs from what else?
Overhead.
Yeah, from total salaries, right? And you have other costs. What are other costs?
R&D.
Yeah, I mean, could be if there are like hardware stuff involved, depreciation, amortization, administrative costs, taxes, all these kind of things, right? At the end of the day, these are your costs and these are your revenues. The difference between these will be your net income, right? Your net income could increase or decrease the cash you have, right? And if this, in the beginning, probably you wouldn't have any cash. Probably your cash would be negative. But, I mean, you cannot get this system working with a negative cash. So that's why you need external funding. And the external funding is what we discussed yesterday. Friends, family, fools, seed investment, angel investment, VCs, whatever. Grant money from the government. So this is the external funding that increase your cash. And your cash helps you get more people, right? If you don't have enough cash, you wouldn't be able to get the hiring going on, right? Then you have here, this is financial. So like based on the revenues, this is very complex, but it has to do with firm valuation. There are different ways of doing the valuation for companies. We are using a method here called discounted, not discounted cash flow, but more of comparables, like looking at the revenues and compare it to other companies. But here you have the firm valuation, and the firm valuation will decide to a great extent the employee's net worth, which is the equity, and the founder's net worth, right? And for the employees, their final financial compensation depends on the equity they have, depend on the profit sharing they have, and they depend on the total salaries they get. This is the financial compensation you are giving to them, right? And financial compensation is one of those variables that impact the attractiveness of the company, but it's not the only one. Have you noticed that? Right? Equity, profit sharing, and salaries are not the only thing that make your firm attractive. What are the other variables? Core team strengths, psychological ownership, the soft things. How do you make the team feel that they own the company with you? They are not like employed, they are not enslaved to work in the company. Very important, right? So how do you do that? It's one of the things you need to go and learn. How do I make people empowered, feeling sense of ownership? These kind of things, soft things, very important. But now you know why you need to learn it. You learn it because you know that it'll impact the job attractiveness, which will impact the productivity, which will impact the whole thing. That's why it's important to learn these kind of soft things, because it's all interrelated, right? You have here burnout. So the burnout actually impact the job attractiveness negatively. So if it's very high, the attractiveness of the company will drop, right? And so on. And as you can see, these are the ecosystem variables, the purple ones, and they are plugged in the right place here. Like, for example, fear of failure, it mainly impacts the founding team. So it has an impact on the core team strength, right? Higher education and training impact your employee productivity, and it impacts the time to hire, time to find the right talent you need, right? Institutions impact competitor value proposition, impact the productivity, impact the core team strengths. Because if there is no clear laws and there is like messy stuff, the founder team wouldn't be like comfortable working together, because everyone will have concerns from the other one, because there is no law that governs the relationship, right? There will be lots of like security issues, like how do I secure my share, how do I secure my idea, how do I secure my contribution to the company, right? And so on. R&D innovation impact the product development, business sophistication, the kind of service providers that you can get to help you in the product development, impact the product development. Here, macroeconomic environment impact the external funding. Media attention will help you getting external funding or not. Financial market development, again, related to the external funding. The market size impact the sales, because if it's a small market, the sales rate wouldn't be as fast as you would expect, right? Because it's a small market, right? Technological readiness. Is the market ready for the kind of technology that you are working on or not, right? And again, these are the key variables that we found from the research, that actually these are like leverage points, most critical internal factors in any, or I wouldn't say in any, but in the majority of startups, right? The core team strengths. That's why it's very important to get the best team that you can get. All the time focusing on making your startup an attractive place to work in. You need to sell the company. You need to sell the team. Very important. Many times we focus on the product and we forget selling the team, right? Selling the team. Very important. You want people to be excited to join you. You want mentors and advisors to be like dying to work with you because they believe you will be successful. You want investors to be chasing you. And if you want to do that, you want to put together the best team possible, right? This is we said the short delay between customers' feedback and product development. And this is what like lean methodology is all about, this experimentation, going out and speaking with customers. The whole objective is shortening this delay between customer feedback and the product development cycle. You want to make this as short as possible. Iteration all the time, agile methodologies, whatever you call it. There are hundreds of names for the same thing, right? For the same thing. Hundreds of, people are selling concepts, they are selling names now, right? But at the end of the day, it's this very idea. You want to shorten the delay between customer feedback and product development, so that you want to have very close relationship with your customers, right? Very close relationship. You want to speak with them daily. It's very easy to do that on internet business because you can put all sort of like probes and analytics, and you can measure everything, what they are seeing, what they are clicking. You can get rid of features people are not using. You can do A/B testing and stuff. But in other products, it's hard to do, right? So, but it's very important. And later, once you sell the product, the service quality is very important. It could make it or break it. Very important. Once you figure it out, you sell the product, you find the customer, immediately you need to think about structuring your service organization, how you are going to support this product. And sometimes you might have a lousy product, but you have an amazing product support, and you will get away with it, right? Customers will love you. The product is not working properly, but your support team is amazing, right? Yes?
Kind of like Microsoft, they ship something that's not really done, and then they have to support it after the fact.
Yeah, kind of. They still, they are successful, right? The model works. The model works. Product attractiveness. I think we all, know that product attractiveness is very important. Yes, it's important, but the important thing is that you notice what impacts product attractiveness. Again, it's the service quality, it's the value proposition, which is basically features to price that you charge, the word of mouth, right? What people are saying about your product, right? So this is in a nutshell, more details about this system. Do you have any questions on it? I know it's complex, it's not easy. I mean, I spent a few years working on that, so I don't expect you to digest it all in a few minutes. Yes?
It's more on yes kind of question. When you say that all the big feature of the system could start as a core strength, as a core team strength, you are implying that it's a market pull strategy. But if you have a technology push strategy, which means that you're developing technology in a lab in a university, for example, that naturally is desired by a big company or a huge market, and naturally you raise like millions in 6 months.
Who will raise the money?
Well, they're responsible for the technology.
Who?
Researcher, or I'm not sure. Because here it could be some guys, hey, this is a problem, this is an idea, let's develop something for
Yeah. So how startups...
that side, they have the technology yet.
Yeah.
So they don't think about company in the beginning, you know. They
Yeah.
have the technology.
How universities start spin-offs? Like how startups start from labs?
Licensing.
This would be licensing. This wouldn't be startups. So this is exactly the difference. If you are doing licensing, this is not startups. So licensing is you have a technology, then you find a core team to license the technology from you, and they start the company. You see? But the starting point for a startup, it will be someone interested to take whatever, is it an idea or a technology or whatever, and they build a company around it, right?
A bunch of crazy people together, you know,
Yeah.
a vision that nobody else sees.
Yeah. Depends on what you mean by crazy. Yeah. An interesting quote that I really like says that I might sound like a dreamer, but people like me build the pyramids. Something like that.
Why do you have product development done it?
Because remember that the critical factor or the leverage point is not product development. It's the delay between customer feedback and product development. So that's why we put it dotted. Because it's not exactly product development. It's the shortening the delay. Right? It's not the rate of product development, because you could have a very fast rate of product development, but you are developing the wrong features, right? So, yes?
I have a question regarding building or finding founding members.
Yes.
So, fear of failure. I feel like it is valuable to have, in some situations, a partner who's very high-minded and has vision, and someone who's very pragmatic to sort of keep them aware of potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestion for determining the point at which that pragmatism tips to fear of failure, or
Yeah.
goes from pragmatism to naysaying?
So, here's my 2 cents. Ultimately, after seeing this, the team you're trying to build is charged with what? What they are supposed to do.
Create something that's a benefit to society.
Yeah, but I mean, in this context.
Build the product, sell the product, hire the team.
Yeah, so basically, you want a team that you together can manage this complex system, right? Now we understand that it's a complex system, and it's not about the individual tasks. It's about finding the right team that can help you manage this complex system and build a successful company, because successful companies are about getting this right, getting this working, right? So the question is, I think the guideline would be, does this person help me managing the system, or they are actually like blocking the system from running, right? So, because once you start getting into the details of like personal characteristics, risk averse, and I mean, there is, I doubt that there is any kind of correlation. Like, you could find like not very like risk-taking people building very successful companies. You don't have to be a very risk-taking person to be a good entrepreneur. I don't believe in that. So yeah. So it's not about extremes. It's about like having enough level of multiple attributes, right? Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any more question on yes?
So on the first day we did that set of exercises, and then you asked us about the process when we were done. How does that fit into this?
You tell me.
Well, it seems to come into the core team strength significantly.
So, could you repeat your question?
So we did a
simulation.
Simulation of business plan.
And each team was supposed to like present the business idea, what they are trying to do, the business plan,
The execution plan.
execution plan, mainly, right? Those are the three things, right? And you didn't know anything about that. So what you ended up doing is each team, when they spoke about their idea, you didn't all cover all these areas. Some of these areas dropped from your presentation, right? When you spoke about the business plan, you didn't know what do I mean by a business plan. When you started to speak about the execution plan, it was a bit fuzzy. What's an execution plan? Is it execution of the business plan, or it's the execution of the production? You were confused, right? Because again, another problem in the space of entrepreneurship and startups is the terminologies. I mean, you have tons of lingo, right? MVP, business plan, pitch, an executive summary, elevator pitch, all sort of things, right? But if you like get rid of all these kind of like fancy terms, what are the basic things we are speaking about? I think these are the basic things in very simple words. Let's take an example. Typically, what would be the components in any business plan?
Making money.
Yeah, I mean, like what's an outline of a business plan?
Executive summary.
Executive summary. Financials. Marketing plan. Legal. Market size. Description about your team. How you are going to like produce this product or manufacture this product, right?
Exit strategy.
Maybe exit strategy. Timeline, like a plan for it.
Like, to put it in perspective, anytime, even in the public sector, the nonprofit sector,
Yeah.
you have grants,
Yeah.
you have individual service plans, you have individual education plans. They're based on quantitative and qualitative.
Exactly.
And you're trying to be persuasive to get to the benchmark is for getting someone to give you money.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Even if you are a nonprofit and you are raising funding and you are reaching out to donors, somehow you need to give them a business plan. The only difference is you are not selling your service. You are giving your service for free. Or maybe even you're charging a little bit of money, but it's not a lot of money. But basically, to finance your operations, you need this funding coming from the donors. But all the rest is the same. A team, you are working on a certain service or a product, reaching out to customers who will ultimately use whatever you are producing. It's exactly the same thing, because nonprofits, at the end of the day, they are organizations, right? So, they say, and this proves the point that whether you are a nonprofit, a government agency, or a for-profit company, you will need all of that. This is the system. This is the system for the organization. It could change in terms of magnitude and timing based on the phase that the company or the organization is in, but these are the elements. You will find part of it, right? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't you think that could be a relationship between the product type and the job attractiveness?
Where is product type? Is there a product type?
Product features, let's say.
Okay.
I don't see product type or technology type or...
Yeah, because there is no. So product features is the features you have in the product, right? And it's related to the attractiveness through the value proposition. So it impacts the product attractiveness.
And the value proposition doesn't impact the job attractiveness?
Job attractiveness? It's not a very direct relation, because ultimately it's a very long cycle, right? But of course, you can complicate the model. At the end of the day, this is a simplification of reality.
Because you can say, for example, I'm going to work for this company because the product is amazing.
Definitely, you are right. Again, all models are wrong, right? You know that. All models are wrong. All models. What models tries to do is simplify reality for us. Reality is much, much more complex than that, right? But this is much better than the extreme simplification of the process or the components. Startups are about team or whatever. I mean, this is too much simplification. It could be a starting point, but I mean, you need to pass the stage and understand it's more complex than that. And as you said, you could have more relationship, more things going on.
I just asked because the slogan of your company is code something that matters. So that could attract the people to code something that really matters.
Yeah, true.
Relate to the product
True.
or the market or the product.
Definitely. You are right. Definitely. But I think that if you just print this page, this slide, this is a very helpful, I think, map for you to navigate. If you want to do any business planning, all the components are here. If you just pick these kind of things and speak about it, you will cover everything that an investor or a grant agency, funding agency is interested to know. Because basically you are speaking about everything here, right? So if you want to make sure that you have the right competencies in the team, you want to make sure that all the kind of skills needed to manage these kind of variables are in the team. Like, for example, if you have no clue about this sector and no one in the team know anything about this sector, it means that you need someone from a financial or business background, or you need an accountant, or you need a mentor with a financial background, right? You want to make sure that you have all the competencies to manage the system, right? So it's really a navigating map that you can move freely without being afraid that, I mean, there will be some hidden stuff. There is no hidden stuff, right? Now you can see it all. This will be most of the things you will be faced with. These are the kind of decisions, the kind of questions that you will be faced with. Sounds good? Good? Okay. Great. So, actions. I want to hear from you what you will do next after you go home. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe 1 week from now. What are you going to do? What are the actions? What are the starting points? I want to hear from you. Anything, even if it might sound silly. There is no silly thing. Yes?
Stay with my potential co-founder and discuss these sort of topics and ideas and like where we are.
Do you have already?
Yeah.
Very good. Say again?
I'm going to look at that offer you mentioned.
Very good. What else?
Yeah, I would do the same. But I was the CFO for a moving relocation and storage company, which is actually a very easy company to start here. The person who started the company was homeless.
Yeah.
I get interested in the blending of executive roles into a very small company. Most successful moving relocation and storage companies have two guys doing all the roles, blending at some point.
Yeah.
So you have they blend almost seamlessly in terms of human resources. One person is more responsible for the financial aspect, and that's why I always think throughout any organization,
True.
the person who's the financial space, and they call them gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Don't spend the money on this, spend the money on that.
Very true.
And then you have another person who's, the executive officer, and they blend a little bit in the marketing.
You want to make sure that you are covering all the functions here.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
Another interesting thing is called the business model canvas. This is a very interesting concept developed in Stanford. There are books out there. There are actually iPad and iPhone apps for it. And I think it's one of the amazing tools out there because for the first time, we have a clear definition of what's a business model. Everyone invent their own description of a business model. For the first time, they managed to have a tool. It's a graphical tool that give you very clear components. Again, it's kind of a map. It's a map for a business model. The only limitation of this is what? Say again?
For the very beginning to start
Yeah,
an idea or
you're right on. What do you mean by the very beginning?
well, when you're that side,
Yeah,
you find the culture.
it's very helpful at a snapshot. It's a very static picture of the thing. It helps you in plan things and define things and being able to describe things, right? But it's not dynamic. It does not change over time with you. It does not tell you about the time issue. So we can say that it's a three-dimensional view of the business model. It does not give you the fourth dimension of time. This is the only limitation. Yet, I find it amazing if you want to think about your company and who are the customers, what's the channels, costs, revenues, key people, key activities, suppliers, value proposition. So it helps you in drawing this kind of story, right? What else? What other actions you will do? Yes.
I plan to visit the MIT patent office and talk about my,
Amazing. Why you will do that?
well, determine the usefulness, determine where I go next, whether I make what I do a provisional, whether I go with
Okay.
utility, or whether I need to do one at all.
Okay. Let's chat afterwards. I want to give you some hints about that because it might be more trickier than you expect. But it's very interesting. You can check actually all the technologies that MIT has in their office, in the Technology Licensing Office, TLO. You can check the technologies they have. And if you are interested, you can go and license these kind of technologies. There will be all sorts of negotiation, but what else? Actions.
I have 4 different things I need to do by the end of the month, and I'm already executing. I just need to execute more.
Okay. Any specific action that came to your mind after you came today?
No, just some reinforcement.
Okay. Okay. Reinforcement in what direction?
And trying to figure out who some of the stakeholders are, and to.
Okay. So maybe we'll sit down and try to redraw this map, maybe. What else? More actions. Yes.
Well, I always tell people, if I have a business client, I was told that you should always behave in your business as if you're for sale. And if you're for sale, you should always behave as if from day one you're accountable to the SEC.
Yes. Yes. True.
Because that's the best template for,
Yeah,
head above
yeah,
water.
yeah. Taking charge of your business, being responsible for it. What else?
It makes you look good as well. and
Yeah,
Might
definitely.
get a better wife, everything.
There you go.
Get it on.
More actions. Okay,
Focus a little bit more intentionally on job attractiveness.
interesting. How you will do that?
Think about my company from an outsider's perspective a little bit more, what they're looking for.
Interesting. Okay.
Certainly can do a lot more about how a founding team needs to have a much more diverse set of qualifications that carry you through more than just the
Yeah.
couple things.
If you need any any tips on resources, websites, events, courses, even here in MIT, these kind of things, email me. I mean, I'll be more than happy to share with you resources, direct you to websites. I'll try to save you some time. I don't promise you to get you the perfect answer, but I will direct you maybe to people, advisors, mentors, whatever, incubators, these kind of things. So feel free to do that. What are my future plans? So I told you about my past and what I have been doing and my obsession and so on. So the whole term of Startup 3.0 is actually a dream for me. That I think that Startup 1.0 was more of the trial and error, building companies by try this, try that, and you don't know what will work, what won't work. I mean, basically trial and error. And then Startup 2.0 is some sort of understanding about what makes companies successful, but this kind of knowledge is kind of exclusive for certain groups of people. Those might be investors, might be incubators, might be very experienced entrepreneurs. But this knowledge is kind of kept exclusive, right? That's why we still have hundreds, millions of companies fail. The current rate is 8 out of 10 startups fail. So it's a very high rate. I mean, it means that there is something wrong, right? So my dream is Startup 3.0 is democratizing this knowledge to more and more people. So if you have an idea, if you want to start a company, you don't have to be connected to this exclusive group. You can actually go and follow this tool or methodology, and this will guide you through the process. And we now understand that it's not a linear process. It's a complex process. So this tool is programmed with this understanding, and it's utilizing all sorts of artificial intelligence, big data stuff to help you build a company over the course of the life cycle of the company. So basically, how can I help more and more entrepreneurs build successful companies without the need for hundreds of mentors and advisors? Because if we have enough mentors, we can make more and more successful companies. But the problem is you don't have enough mentors, right? You cannot, right? So how you can compensate for this? By the use of technology. So this is my dream. And I think I'll spend the rest of my life working on that. Maybe I'll fail, maybe I'll succeed, but this is what I'm interested in, and I'll keep doing that. It was a real pleasure. Thank you very much for coming to those 3 days. I really enjoyed the 3 days. And every one of you, I mean, contributed a lot. I learned a lot. It was very fascinating, actually. So thank you very much.